Hello, Mr. Bousman, from one Full Sail graduate to another. I'm very excited to speak with you.
Oh, look at that. Full Sail. That's awesome. It's kind of like the Freemasons. Sometimes you meet people from Full. We should have a secret handshake or something.
So, yes, I
Yeah,
wanted to
exactly.
speak with you about not just this film, but what got you into horror originally. What were some of your first early horror films you really loved?
You know what? This I'm going to give you the craziest answer that I've never talked about before, and this is a Flickering Myth exclusive because this is going to just blow your
Ooh.
fucking mind. It was La Bamba, and La Bamba is not a horror movie, right? It's a true story of Richie Valens dying in a plane crash. But I remember seeing that movie in a theater and being upset and disturbed and emotionally wrecked. And it was the first time that I'd seen a movie of that kind of adult nature because I'm still very young, and I'm like, why do I feel so sad? And it was because I cared about the characters. And ever since then, like I sought out movies that made me feel something because, so many times I will go through a movie and I won't smile, I won't laugh, I'll just sit there and I'm like, whatever. But movies that can actually make me feel something are
Mhm.
the ones that I talk about later and I go out and I want to just tell people about. Whether that be something that is disgusting or something that is horrific, it's just those are the movies that I talk about. So, I remember La Bamba being the movie that I saw in the theaters that fucked me up as a kid, and I didn't understand why. But now, as an adult, I can look back at that and say it was the death of all of these musicians that I cared about in the movie and liked, and that's what it was.
I saw Showgirls before I knew it was a bad movie, so
Oh,
I thought it was a horror film growing up. I just thought it was terrifying. Now looking at this film, there is some buddy cop aspects to it. There's some cop drama to it. Did you pull from any films from inspiration? Any Assault on Precinct 13, any 48 Hours for your inspiration for this?
48 hours. That was, when I met with Chris Rock for the very first time, we talked about tone a lot because,
Hmm.
I kind of was so freaking out that I was going to direct Chris Rock. And I'm like, I grew up, I mean, in my opinion, he's one of the greatest living comedians of our time. Him, Dave Chappelle, a handful of others, but I'm working with this guy and I didn't know
Hmm.
how to approach that. And so we sat down and we were able to speak film language. And he said, so the very first thing he said to me was, go back and rewatch 48 Hours because it's not the movie you remember it to be. And I remembered it to be a comedy. And that's how I thought about it until I went back and rewatched it. And it's not a comedy. It is a fucking intense police drama
Hmm.
procedural with Eddie Murphy being funny. And I think what's great about that is you look at someone like Nick Nolte, who is not funny, who is gruff, who is mean, who is angry, and you have blood and violence. And in the very first scene, they're like killing prostitutes and pimps in this hotel room. But Eddie Murphy has some jokes. And those
Yeah.
jokes is what you remember out of 48 hours. And so Chris very, very much was like, I want to make a movie that is 7 meets 48 hours. And I think that, we hit that mark. This is very 7-ish meets 48 hours.
I would totally agree. I laughed at parts of this movie I didn't think I would laugh at. So I love the tone of
Exactly.
this film. So thank you so much for speaking with me today. Again, like I said,
Thank you.
one Full Sail guy. You're
Full
awesome. You're
Sail.
like our big goal. So thank you so much. Have a
Thank you
great day,
very
Mr.
much, man.
Darren.
Nice meeting you.